Manitoba's premier promises to search the landfill, as Winnipeg police have identified Buffalo woman as Ashlee Shingoose, who went missing 3 years ago.
With everything that's going on in the environment, with inflation, all these things, these workers are feeling those pinches.
Métis Child and Family Services workers are on strike with calls to be paid equally to their provincial counterparts.
Connaissant le droit inhérent aux Premières Nations, je pense que ça va directement en ligne directe avec la déclaration.
And one step closer to self-determination for 3 Innu nations in Quebec. Tansei, good evening. I'm Mashkode. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Ashlee Christine Shingoose. That's who the Winnipeg Police Service say has been identified as Mashkode Bizhiki'ikwe, or Buffalo Woman. She is one of 4 First Nations women killed by a serial killer who is now serving a life sentence in prison for 4 first-degree murder charges. Here's APTN's Tiara Wheatley with some of the details Winnipeg Police revealed today, and a warning to our viewers: some details may be disturbing.
Pushed for this search to happen.
It was Medewin elder Thelma Morso who gifted the name Mashkode Bizhiki'ikwe to Ashlee Christine Shingoose long before we knew her name.
Our hearts go out to Albert and Teresa Shingoose, Ashlee's parents, and all the members of St. Teresa's Point who received this unbearable news.
The Winnipeg Police Service also saying they believe Ashlee's remains to be in the city-owned Brady Road landfill south of the city.
Ashlee Shingoose Kijinakazo. I think it's very important that we say her name.
Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew made a plea to Ashlee's family, who are listening to the press conference from St. Teresa and Innu Nation in northern Manitoba, where the family lives.
I promise you that we are going to search the Brady landfill for your daughter. I cannot promise you that we will bring her home, but I can promise you that we are going to try.
The Shingoose family had plans to be here, but weather kept them from traveling from the remote fly-in community. Speaking from a cell phone to the microphone, Ashlee's father, Albert, took the time to thank everyone for today's outcome.
The families that's there, thank you for everything.
Also requesting the Premier to sing an honor song for his daughter's spirit.
Ashlee, way higher, oh.
Along with Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, and Mercedes Myron, Ashlee was killed in the spring of 2022 by convicted serial killer Jeremy Skibitsky, who was sentenced to life in prison this past August for 4 first-degree murder charges. Ashlee was the first victim and believed to have been killed on March 15, the court proceedings revealed. Also in court, there was shocking news that there were 16 female DNA profiles found inside the killer's apartment. While they said this didn't mean that foul play was suspected, there was speculation in the Indigenous community there could be more victims. Deputy Police Chief Cam McKidd saying even after convicted, a special task force spent a lot of time tracing the killer, saying he never left Winnipeg, and saying at this time they don't believe there are more victims.
Our computer system spiderwebs out, and we spoke to every single person we could locate that had anything to do with Mr. Skibitsky. We had a crime analysis unit.
Raymond Flett, chief of St. Teresa and Innu Nation, was in attendance and quite emotional.
It's been a long time waiting.
Standing together, First Nations leaders, city officials, and the police told the public they were united in reconciliation moving forward. And Police Chief Gene Bowers committing to the families of Contois, Harris, and Myron in attendance.
I'm standing here today in front of everybody, the community, giving you my word that that will happen.
A big step for many, considering the WPS initially said no to searching the landfill back in December 2022, saying it wasn't feasible. Sparking a 2-year political fight for the families to get the original search of the Prairie Green landfill, where earlier this month the remains of Harris and Myron were found. Tiara Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
And if you are affected by these stories, supports are always available 24/7 through the MMIWG support line. That number is 1-844-413-6649. A strike of Métis CFS workers in Manitoba has people talking. While they fight for higher wages, the issues around funding within the CFS system are brought to light. APTN Sav Jonza looks at some views on how CFS funding in Manitoba should be spent.
On Tuesday, more than 100 CFS workers with the Métis Child and Family Services Authority in Manitoba went on strike. They want wage parity, meaning the same pay as CFS workers employed by the provincial government. Kyle Ross is the president of the union.
These workers have the same education. They support the same types of families and types of individuals that need these supports, and we really think they should be paid the same as everybody else.
The striking workers are employed by two agencies governed by the Manitoba Métis Federation, Mashkode Child and Family Services and Métis Child and Family Community Services, or MCFCS. Their contracts expired 2 years ago in January 2023 and show social workers at bottom of scale earning between $24.58 and $36.28 an hour, depending on classification and agency.
With everything that's going on in the environment, with inflation, all these things, these workers are feeling those pinches.
But the strike doesn't fit right with Métis foster parent Rachel Willen. She's been working for MCFCS and other agencies as a caregiver to children for over 10 years. She says foster parents who provide 24/7 care are being overlooked in these discussions.
Totally undervalued. I mean, we're expected to look after a child for $25 a day, and that requires, transportation, medical, eye exam, clothing, food, snacks, lunches. That requires all of that, but yet a social worker gets, $27, $28, sometimes $32 an hour, and this is what we get a day.
It's been almost 13 years since the daily rates for the essential care of foster children in Manitoba were increased. The province now says they will increase those basic maintenance rates from 2012 by 10% come October 1st this year to around $24 and $34 a day, depending on age and location. Willen says any extra funding towards CFS in the province should be spent directly on kids in care and at-risk families to prevent apprehension.
There's no need for a salary increase when that money could be going to our families.
Sherry Gaunt, the Manitoba advocate for children and youth, says the basic maintenance rate increase is a good start for providing better care to kids, but not enough to meet inflation. She says a fix to the problem is spending more on keeping families together and out of foster homes.
Children deserve to be raised by their own families, and children deserve to know who they are and where they come from, and be able to identify with their own families rather than coming into foster care.
Kinship caregivers who provide care to family members in the system currently receive less than foster parent rates. Manitoba Families Minister Nahani Fontaine said in an emailed statement on March 7th that the province will be investing $10 million towards customary and kinship caregivers who provide care to those family members. The Manitoba Métis Federation laid off 63 workers about 2 weeks prior to the strike, citing lack of funding resulting from jurisdictional disputes between the province and federal government on who should pay. MMF Minister of Housing Will Goodon commented on the strike in an unrelated interview.
Minister Bjors and President Chartrand have made it clear on several occasions that at the end of the day it is the children and it is the families, and that's why we fought so hard to have our own authority and agencies, to keep those kids in community, in family, and the funding, the fight over the funding is tough. Because I don't think anyone wants to see what's happening.
The CFS system has been plagued with troubles and criticism for years. But no matter where you think funding should go, the kids appear to be on everyone's mind.
And all these issues need to be addressed. It's not as simple as one or the other. I think we have to address them all if we really want to have a quality system and if we want to try and avoid the issues that come later if these families don't get the supports.
The strike will continue until a deal is reached. Sav Jonza, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
3 Innu nations in Quebec have high hopes over a consultation protocol recently signed with the Canadian government, who says this will promote Innu self-determination through collaborative relationships. As reported by APTN Savannah Craig, this is not the first time the government has committed to a collaboration like this.
Many First Nations across Canada have been fighting to have the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People honored by the federal government since it became a law in 2016. But 3 Innu nations recently had this declaration upheld, which they say will strengthen nation-to-nation cooperation.
En reconnaissant le droit inhérent aux Premières Nations, je pense que ça va directement en ligne directe avec la déclaration de l'ONU.
Pequawmanooge, Espit, and Nutashquan signed an agreement with Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, Gary Anandasangri, this past weekend. Espit Chief Martin Dufour says this consultation protocol recognizes the inherent rights of First Nations governance, laws, culture, and their ancestral territory. This isn't the first time Canada signed an agreement like this. In 2023, then Minister of Crown Indigenous Affairs, Mark Miller, signed a similar agreement with the Anishinaabe community of Kitsitsakic in Western Quebec. APTN News spoke with Pequawmanooge Chief Gilbert Dominique. He says he hopes the agreement would protect his nation in having the power to accept or reject projects occurring inside its ancestral territory. Despite a federal election looming, some are still hopeful this agreement will be upheld.
On espère que les élections fédérales ne changeront pas la donne. Avec le gouvernement libéraux, on a eu beaucoup d'ouvertures au cours des dernières années par rapport aux droits des Premières Nations. On espère que ça va continuer dans les prochaines années.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptn.ca. And you can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, LinkedIn, and X. And you can watch this newscast anywhere, anytime on our YouTube page. Follow us at APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A northern BC Indigenous woman is speaking out after she was arrested by 2 RCMP officers during the early morning hours of Boxing Day in 2024 while attempting to withdraw money from an ATM. After celebrating Christmas with family, Sydney Tibbetts and her 2 cousins walked to the ATM in Fort St. James to withdraw some money at around 2:30 a.m. She said 2 RCMP officers approached them while inside the bank and asked them to leave because they were intoxicated. Tibbetts says at the time, no one was causing a disturbance to the public and they just wanted to use the ATM. A 2.5-minute video was recorded after the RCMP continued to refuse the 3 entry to the bank, with Tibbetts and her cousins accusing the officers of racism. An officer can then be seen arresting Tibbetts, with the other officer assisting. Tibbetts' cousins did not intervene, but one officer warned he would spray them with pepper spray if they did not back off. A short time later, Tibbetts was released with no charges. An officer dropped her off at her home and she instead walked on foot to a family member's home. Tibbetts says the arrest was unnecessary and says she is suffering from physical and emotional trauma from the incident. In a statement to APTN News, RCMP Corporal Madonna Saunderson with BC RCMP's North District says, to respect an individual's privacy, we cannot confirm the name of any person arrested or the details surrounding the arrest until such time as charges have been laid. She encouraged anyone who may be subject to police misconduct to report it and closed by saying it can confirm that detachment and district leadership have been engaged and offered the family specific information about the complaints process. Tibbetts says She says she will pursue legal action against the RCMP and would like to see the two officers removed from the community. Her mother has also held peaceful protests outside the local RCMP detachment. You can read more about that story about going over to our website at www.aptnnews.ca. The National Indigenous Collaborative Housing Inc., or NICHI, announced a historic milestone on Wednesday. At a press conference in Ottawa, the organization says it has successfully distributed $275.2 million in federal funding to 74 Indigenous-led housing projects across the country. NICHI is for Indigenous by Indigenous housing group with 92 member organizations. The money it is distributing comes from federal funding earmarked for Indigenous housing projects in urban, rural, and northern areas. John Gordon is the CEO of NICHI.
Good morning, everyone. Because of NICHI's collaboration with its members and the Indigenous housing providers across this country, over 3,800 people will be able to access housing that wouldn't have been able to before. That success happened in 18 months. In some cases, projects have been completed in less than a year from when approved to when families receive their keys to their new home.
With the Juno Awards now just 4 days away, things are heating up in Vancouver. That story when we come back. Welcome back. The 2025 Juno Awards are in Vancouver this year, with the awards ceremony this Sunday on March 30th. Throughout this week, Juno events are taking place across the city. APTN's Tina House was at the awards week kickoff with a special guest. Here's that interview.
We're here at the Talking Stick Awards Week kickoff, and I'm here with Suzette and Maya. Suzette, nice to see you.
Oh, Gaelic Hustle, so good to see you, Tina House. We have an Awards Week kickoff here. Talking Stick Festival has done so great to partner and host events all week, preparing for the Junos. I know that they've really given so much to the community as giving a platform for Indigenous artists locally as well as nationally. So I'm really honored to curate this event with the Talking Stick Festival, as well as this Friday at the Legion. That's a free event in collaboration with Samaya Entertainment and the Talking Stick Festival with host Marissa Nahaney. We just have such an incredible talent here in Vancouver, and I'm just so grateful that the Talking Stick Festival has asked me to come on board to help support all our local Indigenous artists.
Amazing. And now you've joined the Juno committee. Now tell me what your position is with the Junos.
Well, I'm really honored this year to be the Vancouver Host Committee Indigenous Lead. So I've been honored to, help support our artists across the province with a provincial tour. We've had a Circle of Business and Music, and then this Thursday we're doing a Indigenous storytelling, a circle, like a panel, but with incredible artists like Kim Gucci, who's up for a Juno this year, as well as Sebastian Gaskin, and then it's going to be moderated by JB, the First Lady, and Kwana Style will be there, and we have Tiffany from Pisilk. And so, there's so many incredible things happening. Juno Fest is huge. There's many venues across the city. I know Keely Cardinal is going to be here, Desiree Dorian, Snino's Res Kids, Tia Wood, and the list goes on. We're just really grateful that, I've been in this music industry for almost 30 years, and it's wonderful to have a part of something really spectacular.
Spectacular indeed, and we'll be covering many of these events this week and bringing you lots of stories back to you in studio.
Thank you, Tina. Our award-winning team at APTN Investigates has some more good news to tell us. That story when we come back after this short break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Time now for our photo of the day. It was an early morning sunrise in Ottawapiskat First Nation in Northern Ontario. Big thanks to Todd Spence for thinking of us and sharing this great photo. Send us your photos to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. On the east coast, St. John 6, Charlottetown 3. -3 in Cartwright, Happy Valley, Goose Bay -2. Gaspé 3, Saguenay 4. Windsor 14, Toronto 11. Sudbury 3, Wawa -4. Puckatawagan -11, Thompson -9. -7 in Barons River, Princess Harbour -7. 10 in Estevan, Yorkton -4. -1 in Meadow Lake, La Ronge -5. Partly cloudy and high level at -4, Fort McMurray -4. 20 in Medicine Hat and rain, Lethbridge 17. 13 in Vancouver, Kamloops 14. Sand Spit 10, Smithers 7. 3 in Whitehorse, Mayo 0. -8 in Wrigley, Yellowknife -15 in Sun. Fort McPherson -18, Inuvik -17. -24 in Whale Cove, Chesterfield -24. And Resolute -26, Iqaluit -14. The 30th annual Snow Kings Winter Festival took the city of Yellowknife by storm and featured artwork by a local Indigenous carver. Festival goers have been out in droves to the Snow Castle on Yellowknife Bay, where they've enjoyed many events including dance parties, photo competitions, and even the 9th International Carving Symposium. John Saborin is a local Indigenous stone carver who took part in the symposium. He and co-carver Patricia Le Guin took 4 days to carve her piece titled The Phoenix, which won the Artist's Choice Award this year. Saborin explained why carving as an art form is important to Indigenous people.
I think it's a kind of a story to say that, you know, we represent the North here, we represent Yellowknife. We're here, and we've always been here, and we'll continue to be here. So this is kind of a stamp that I put on here, and Patricia put on here. So she's from Saskatoon, and I'm from Yellowknife, so it was kind of fun to do.
Beautiful. Turning to some exciting news closer to home now, APTN Investigates is up for a record 5 nominations for this year's Canadian Screen Awards. The annual awards celebrate excellence in Canadian film, English language television, and digital media production. APTN Investigates nominations include Kenneth Jackson's Secrets of the Bay for Best Host or Interviewer for News or Information, as well as Tamara Pimentel and Josh Grummett's Beyond the Strip for Best News or Information segment. The awards ceremony takes place May 30th to June 1st, and when we get the new results, we'll be sure to report it here. Congratulations to the exceptional team at APTN Investigates, and make sure to catch their latest episode on YouTube, Deadly Force, an inside look at the police-involved deaths of 2024. That's your evening newscast for this Wednesday, March 26th. We're back with more news tomorrow in our daytime newscast at 12 p.m. Winnipeg time. Make sure to join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Excellent.